If you're looking for best practices for your bank or credit union, join us while we talk all things sales, marketing, and strategy for financial institutions. Let's make it happen with FiGrow Solutions.
Hi there, I'm Meredith Olmstead, CEO and founder of FiGrow Solutions. We are a digital marketing and sales consulting agency. We work exclusively with credit unions and community banks. And I am here with our Senior Vice President of Marketing, Nida Ajaz. Say hi, Nida.
Hi, everyone.
So Nida and I have been working on a number of different things with clients around utilizing surveys and data and trying to be strategic in terms of making plans for driving growth, future growth in many different areas. And so we were talking about this and I was like, let's hit record on this conversation because I think this is an area that a lot of our contacts and our clients could benefit from hearing a little bit more about. So really, we were talking about we wanted to talk specifically today about surveys. But before we jump into how to effectively and strategically use surveys with your existing members or your existing customers or potential new customers, I want to also touch on the fact that a lot of times banks and credit unions have a tremendous amount of data at their fingertips in their core systems that they're not utilizing in order to make data-driven decisions around new product offerings or how to expand into a new market. And so that's one thing that we always want to make sure we caution people on is that surveys tend to be really good at assessing like how one system or one process went for somebody, or like the sentiment behind, like if they have a negative or a positive sentiment around a recent experience, or just their feelings in general about your brand, or if they trust you or would recommend you to somebody. So surveys can be very, very good for those kinds of understandings, deeper understandings. But data, often people don't even know what their own transaction data looks like, what they spend their money on. If you ask somebody, they probably wouldn't even be able to answer that truly and completely accurately without digging into their own transaction history. So that's where you want to be careful. You want to make sure that whatever you're trying to accomplish in terms of a goal or the purpose of this information to drive decision making, you want to make sure you're layering it with both. So there could be a really good use case for surveying some customers, potential new customers, but then also layering in actual data into that analysis to make your final decision in whatever you're trying to drive, forward, whether it is a new product line or it's moving into a new area of a geographic area or something like that. So that's the first thing I want to say. It's kind of like a caveat as we're starting. But we are going to talk just really and like principally about surveys. So if we know that we really do think we need surveys. Nida, what are some of the main purposes that we have found or that you have found that are really, really useful for surveying? And there's a bunch of different kinds of surveys.
Yeah, there are a couple of different ones, but I did want to mention what you just said about data and tying that in is so on point, because I think what happens is a lot of clients sometimes choose one or the other. They're either really into data and ignore surveys, or they're really into surveys and ignore data. So I think having that combination is so key. As far as the types of surveys, there are a lot of different goals that we have seen for credit unions and banks, especially like even if it ranges from all the way to maybe launching a new social media initiative. So you're trying to reach a younger market, then first tap into understanding your current younger market members who are there and customers and kind of unlocking that. And then there's also, if you're looking to add a new product, like a checking account, for example, one of our clients was looking to add like a high yield checking account. So they actually just asked the customer, here are the things we're considering for this account. What would be something that you would lean toward and what you want? So it's more of the feelings that they're trying to unlock of what future, like what would it look like for that?
I think too, you also want to make sure that you're periodically surveying pretty much some portion of your entire existing customer base or membership so that you can drive retention, get feedback on customer service, member service, make sure that if there's some negative sentiment around an area of service, that you're picking up on that on a regular basis. So we like to tell people they should be doing those kinds of general positive and negative sentiment kinds of surveying periodically throughout the year. a lot of times people will do an NPS survey a quarter per quarter. So they'll survey like 20 or 25% of their customer base in first quarter, then another 25% second, and third, and so on. So you're kind of getting ongoing feedback throughout the year rather than just all at one time, your entire membership base. So something like that can be a very good purpose around a survey.
Even for branding or like understanding how people perceive you in the community, the surveys play a really good role there. Even for driving customer retention, maybe just understanding how they feel about your different products and services. So there are a lot of different ways and purposes that you want to use these.
And we also talked, so there's all these different purposes behind goals really around surveying. And based on the goal is really based on like helps you determine what kind of survey or timing of a survey would be around the purpose. So say you're trying to understand why you might have a lot of people coming in, starting an application, but not finishing it, or going all the way through an application process and then not funding a loan. You could put together a very short survey that comes right at the end of that process, of that application process, or that loan application, like period of time, and ask, hey, what were the biggest barriers? Or where did you find that you had the hardest time completing? Or if you see people leaving, at a certain stage in an application process, in a mortgage, for example, why would you leave? And they might be able to give you some insight. Oh, I found a lower rate somewhere. Oh, I got closing cost, a credit for closing costs. Or, oh, this other lender matched your fees and also had a little bit better rate, or whatever that feedback might be. That can be very useful. So if you're right at the beginning of a product, like when you're really onboarding a new customer for a product, it's good to get some feedback on the application process, see if you can streamline that process or make it a little bit more of a positive experience. Those kind of surveys should be short and very well timed at the end, right at the beginning when they start the product.
Yeah, and that's a really good one to follow up with when we do. So let's say they just, you're onboarding a customer and they just gave you a high rating. That's a really good time to send them a follow-up and just ask for a Google review and drive more of your online presence and online capability to go up as well. So I think there's a multi-factors and benefits to doing something like this.
At the same time, too, when people are leaving, it's very important to have a closing account process.
Yes.
Why are they leaving? Getting feedback from attrition. Are they moving? Did they have a bad experience? Did they find better online banking or better mobile banking somewhere else? So getting that kind of feedback can be very important as well. Again, the purpose probably is to try to drive member retention. So, but you want to make sure that you might have more than one survey point that helps drive member or customer retention.
And so closing account surveys are pretty key because at that point, and the timing is everything in some of these, like onboarding and closing account, like right when it's happening, you should be able to pull that data and run through that. I'm sure we're going to talk about more of the tools, but there are tools available where you're getting that information right away and kind of sending those surveys out in a timely manner.
Yeah. And I think that too, we do big, like very in-depth digital onboarding for new customers for clients. And we usually incorporate multiple surveys in that onboarding. So the digital onboarding will first have a survey about the actual new account or new loan opening process. Very specific to, was your loan officer responsive? Did you wait? Did the wait time meet or exceed your expectations? Well, all those things. Was the amount, were the online tools to be able to fill out and sign your paperwork online, effective, or were they clear? Those kinds of things. That kind of feedback is really about the application. But then at the very end, usually of a new customer onboarding, we'll do a very short NPS survey, which is basically a sentiment survey. And that's 6 months or even more into your relationship with them, where you're like, hey, would you recommend us to your friend or family member? It's not really specific to one product or service. It's more about do they have general sense of trust for the
Yeah.
for your
And then a
institution?
follow-up with that would be that if they are saying that they're more likely to recommend, then you can run a referral campaign. Like there's so much automated follow-up that can happen just based on people replying to surveys.
Yeah.
I
was just going to say, we're going to talk about how to make those results and survey feedback actionable. But I know there's a lot of different tools out there. Were you going to say something else about the types of surveys?
I was just going to mention that we have done surveys where it's not even a survey defined. So for example, like if we have a gateway form at an application, right before an application, we're gathering their information. We just put one question in there that, how did you find out about us? So for the customer to self-identify, obviously we can see on the back end how they came through, but in the customer's mind, how are they identifying they actually found out about you? It's a very interesting and insightful data that we've uncovered, like how sometimes even your current customers that you might assume that we don't need to market to them, and we don't need to run ads to them.
They found your rate through Google or something.
They are pointing out that literally they wouldn't have come to you unless you they saw an ad
unless you had stayed top of mind by being on their Google results or whatever. Yeah, it is funny how that works.
And we do this also by like a retail team, for example. We can give a couple of questions to a retail team if we want to discover some things about like business banking, like what kind of people are walking in, and we might just give them, hey, as you're opening these accounts, can you ask these 3 questions?
Yeah.
And getting that insight. So sometimes it's not even a formal defined survey. It's just incorporating within processes that exist that could lead you
getting
to
feedback. Getting that. Even if it's anecdotal, it can be actionable. So really quickly before we talk about how to make all that feedback actionable, the tools. Okay, you all know a lot of those tools out there. There are industry specific tools that just really provide surveying services specifically geared towards financial institutions. Qualtrics, Onevative, Smart Survey. There's a lot of them out there. There's also SurveyMonkey, which is pretty well known, and other kinds of online survey companies that you can layer in. All of those tools can be useful, but they are kind of a third party. They're like an extra add-on that you have to kind of go out. Sometimes you have to contract with them. It can be an additional cost, those kinds of things. So that's something to keep in mind. And any new tool has to be learned. So you have to learn how to use it, how to implement it, how to connect it with your other systems. Often core systems can have some survey elements built in, especially if you have like a loan origination system or a core system that has an application for a deposit product. They often will build in some kind of survey that can get sent out as an application is submitted or completed. That can be a pretty easy add-on, but you want to make sure that the feedback is made actionable. So you have to be bringing that feedback somewhere where somebody is then processing it in some way, or some system is processing it in some way and making it so that you can take that feedback and do something with it. The third way we typically do it for our clients is through marketing tools. We're a HubSpot shop, so we're definitely predisposed to using HubSpot. But a lot of full service marketing automation platforms will have some kind of survey system built into them. HubSpot's tool is pretty cool because it has like a lot of different types of surveys that you can design, anything from an NPS survey to like a 3-question or like even a happy face, smiley face or a sad face and in between kind of sentiment. So there's that can be really easy. And if it's a tool that you're in all the time already, you already kind of know how to use it.
Yeah. And then you can use the data against some of your segregating. Like, so if you want to just target the people who said that they are in the market for something and like their goal, for example, one of the questions we asked, and like, what are your goals for the next 6 to 12 months? And if they're saying they want to upgrade or look for a house or find a dream house, then we can segment it and actually send a marketing email to them based on that. So I think having the marketing tool within the service, so this is the service hub that we use in HubSpot, and that whole aspect, it has a lot more than just surveys, but we end up using the surveys because of this, being embedded within the tool.
Yeah. And having it connected, whatever tool you utilize, whether it is your existing marketing platform or it's a different tool that you layer in, the key is to make sure that the results get driven into whatever system that you're working in on a regular basis to bring insights, to bring, traffic insights or ad insights or data insights from actual transactions or survey insights. You want everything coming into one place where you can kind of slice and dice that information in order to really make decisions and or share the information that you're getting with the right people. So one of the great things about HubSpot is you can automate survey responses and what you're going to do based on their various response. So like you said, if you're doing a every 6 month or every year NPS survey, and you have somebody who comes in who's a new member or a new customer and they rate you a 10, I love you guys, then you could automate a response to them that says, thank you so much for the feedback. We really appreciate you and are always here if you need us. If you have time, please visit, and then you can link to their preferred branch location on Google and send them right into the Google review to try to drive a positive Google review for that branch location.
Yeah.
You can't do that with something like a Survey Monkey, typically, or one of the other kinds of industry specific options.
Or it would take a lot of actions for you to be able to achieve the same thing. That's a lot easier in one tool. But the other thing is also the people who are rating you lower, you want to, catch that early on and have it directed directly to the manager that's in charge and kind of take care of it before it gets to a Google review, a bad reputation.
Absolutely.
So you want to catch that at an early stage. So that is important, especially with automating some of these actions.
Yeah. And I think too, like as you're surveying around specific product onboarding experiences, you can send those survey results on an ongoing basis to, your head of mortgage lending or your head of consumer lending if you're getting really positive feedback and if you're getting really negative feedback. So it's good because you can be celebrating wins in that way on an automated basis, but you can also be giving feedback so that, oh my goodness, if somebody fell through the crack on this situation, that management that will be alerted, they'll understand what's happening, and then they can bring that feedback back to the team to kind of head it off before those kinds of customer and member service issues become more dire, And
I know marketing departments might think that, oh, this is not our department. This is like the service side of things. This is a really great way to break those internal silos and really step in and say, hey, okay, this is also benefiting the retail side, but we end up using some of the customer messaging that what they loved in the marketing emails. And it actually turns out and works out better. So figure out ways how marketing can play into using some of this and uncover messaging that you might not have else thought of.
Yeah, absolutely. We love to see member testimonials and customer testimonials on product pages, on home pages, on everything, and really specific to different products and services. They helped me pay off my student loan. They helped me refinance something kind of debt. They helped my, my first purchase of a car or my first time home buyer. So all those things can have great personalized testimonials that can make people feel like there's a little bit more social proof around your products and services. So awesome. Well, thanks, Nida. I think this has been really useful. Surveys can be very impactful. I hope this was useful for you all. If you want to learn more about marketing and sales for your financial institution, please visit us at figrow.com. We have lots of other podcasts, blogs, case studies, and other areas of service. We would love to get to know you, to come and take in more of our content. And otherwise, let's just all get out there and make it happen.